Don't worry about getting it right, just get it written. That's great advice if the block is being caused by pressure you've put on yourself and your inner critic has taken over. Because who likes criticisms? Your inner critic. But what if that's not the cause of your block? Identifying the cause of your block is the first step in getting over it. Want to know more tips to help you get through blocks? Stick around. Today we're going to talk about writer's block, some different causes for it, and some tips to break through that block and get writing again. Before we get started, I'm going to take this chance to ask you to subscribe to the channel. Click the little bell next to it if you want to be notified the next time I upload a video. I'm going to be uploading at least one a week. Let's move on. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about writer's block because I'm tired of hearing that it doesn't exist and it's all in your head. Well, it might all be in your head, but it's there for a reason, and it's not always the same reason for every person. I've had to deal with writer's block a couple of times in my life, and I've only been writing for about 15 years now. So if you're in it for the long haul, you're probably going to run into this at some point in time. Now, the ways to deal with it start with identifying what's causing the block. Okay, so I'm going to share what my experiences have taught me in how to identify what's causing them and how to get through it. First cause, burnout. There's always pressure on produce in order to get a good regular income with your writing. Now, that's great. I mean, if you're writing full time and you can produce a lot and you can produce fast, that's great. But if all you're doing is concentrating and focusing on your career and focusing on building your career and writing, and you're not living the rest of your life, you're going to get burnt out. It's just like any other job, you're going to get burnt out. When you have a regular job, you get vacations. You get 2 days off every week. Do you take 2 days off every week from your writing? And you're writing at home, more than likely. So where do you go on your days off? It's easy to feel guilty when you're at home and you're not working, because your office is right there. Sometimes in your living room, sometimes in your kitchen, sometimes in your bedroom. It could be anywhere. But you can't get away from your office when you're at home. So it's very easy to feel the pressure to go back and write, and it's very easy to get wrapped up in writing, and it's very easy, unfortunately, to get burnt out. She's very distracting today. But she's so pretty. She's right here. Can you see her? There we go. Pretty Scarlet. Okay. Sorry, had to show you. So if you've been working hard a lot and working the day job and then coming home and writing and then cooking, and you feel like you don't get any time off because even in your days off from your day job you're writing, or if your day job is writing and you're not getting away because you're not giving yourself days off, it might be burnout that's causing your block. Tips for getting through your burnout? I suggest giving yourself a timed break. By timed, I don't mean half an hour. I mean give yourself 2 days off. When that 2 days off is over, you write. Whether you feel like it or not, you sit down and you force your way through it and you give yourself permission to write crap, as they say. This is where don't worry about getting it right, just get it written is good advice. When you give yourself a timed break and you have to force yourself to get back, then get back into it. Another tip for getting through burnout when you have to force yourself to start writing is sprinting with friends. We have online clubs. I'm sure you have online friends that are writers or something like that. If you don't, use a timer. Set your egg timer for 20 minutes and force yourself to do stream of consciousness writing for 20 minutes. If that doesn't work, do it for another 20 minutes. Burnout is something that you need to recognize and acknowledge. You need to recognize that you're working too hard or too much, and you need to acknowledge it. You need to give yourself a break. You need to take a day off. If you're like, oh my God, I can't take a break, I'm on a deadline and I don't have time. Do you have time to sit in front of the blank case? No. You have time to write. You have time to take off, and then when you come back to writing, things will flow better. Second cause of writer's block that I'm going to list is boredom. If you're sitting there staring at your screen and you're thinking, what am I going to do with these guys? Or I need something original, or I can't think. Or if you're even dreading even getting down to sit in front of the computer, or you don't want to sit in front of the computer. If it's not just the normal, I don't feel like working, kind of dragging your feet thing, then you might be bored with what you're doing. You could be bored with what you're doing and what you're writing if you're writing the same thing that you always write because that's what your readers want, or that's what your publisher wants, or your editors, or if you're just scared to step out of the box because that's your comfort zone. If you're not loving your characters and loving your story, you might be bored with it. If you're writing something that's contracted and you have to finish it, but you just can't seem to get yourself to go and everything sounds stupid, then give yourself, it's going to sound like the same advice again, give yourself a break and write something just for fun. Try a writing prompt, even if it's just something that you write a paragraph or 2 paragraphs for, but something to get your creative juices flowing, something that is out of the box of what you're doing right now. And that can just make you a lot more excited to get back into your story. And your story might even take a surprising twist. If you're bored with your story, find something you love and do some fan fiction. Just for you. You don't have to publish it. You don't have to put it out there. You can. Your readers will love it. Do it as a free read in your newsletter or something. But find something that you love and find the love for your own writing again. Third cause for writer's block that I'm going to list is bad habits. I'm so guilty of this. I do not write every day. I've heard the advice, write every day. Write every day, even if it's only 500 words. And you kind of think, oh, I don't want to write today. So you don't. And then the next day happens and you still don't feel like writing. So you don't. And so on, and so on, and so on. And then a month has gone by and you haven't written anything. And then 6 weeks has gone by and you haven't written anything. Or this is what happens to me anyways. You have to sit down and force yourself to write. That is what got me through pretty much every one of my New York published books. The best way to break your bad habits for writer's block, for me, is to get a writing buddy. You have somebody local, you can meet in a coffee shop or go to their house or have them come to your place or whatever and do a little bit of writing together every day or once a week or every third day or something to keep that habit going. Me, I don't have any local friends that are authors. So what I do is I go to my online friends and I say, I need help. Are you writing tomorrow? Most of my writing friends, I think like with the exception of maybe 3 of them, are full-time writers. Now with that, I can say, if you're writing such and such time, I'll pop online. We pop online, and if I know that it's like when you have to go to the gym and you don't want to go to the gym, but if you get a writing buddy or a workout buddy and you know they're going to be at the gym and they're waiting for you, so you force yourself to go to the gym, that's this concept. That's my advice on how to get past the bad habits. Now with the writer buddy, you can just have them there in your instant messenger or whatever for when you have a question or if you know they're there. Me and my friends, what we tend to do is we do sprints together. We do the 20-minute, 30-minute, 40 minutes, or even an hour. And then you check in every half hour or every hour or whatever time you decide on and say, okay, I have 500 words. I have 200. I only got 250 words. I suck. Sometimes we'll share a little gold nugget from our thing and say, look at what happened in my story. You're not alone. Somebody is there. You're breaking the habit. Once you start doing that more often, you'll find that you want to be writing more when you're on your own and you won't be depending on your buddy anymore. The last cause of writer's block that I want to talk about is depression. Now, I went through a really hard time a few years ago. I was a full-time writer at the point. I had a hard time, and I had such a hard time that when I finished my last novel for Berkeley, I didn't even send in an option material to them. You have to remember, this is back in 2010. So this was before indie publishing went big, and it wasn't that I didn't want to send in my option material because I wanted to publish myself. I didn't send in my option material because I felt like I was burnt out and I was done. I literally thought it was all about the writing and it was just done, and I was walked away from it for a couple of years. Berkeley had options on my erotic material because I had been writing for them for 5 novels, and it was in there. And I usually, you want that option material, you send it in because you want another contract. That's your career. For me, that's it. I don't want to write erotic anymore. I thought I was just burnt out because I was writing erotic and I was sick of sex. But I thought, okay, I'm going to write something just for me. That's what I told myself. 2 years, 2 full years and a few months went by, and I had only written 2 short stories, erotic romance ones. I wrote one in 2011, one in 2012. I only wrote those because I had people depending on me and I was doing projects with friends. So after writing 9 novels in the space of 4 years, or 3 to 4 years, 2.5 years went by where I only wrote 2 short stories that were 10,000 words each. What did I do during those 2.5 years? Nothing. I would get online and I would talk about writing, and I would think I'm going to write, and I would think, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to write. And the next morning would get up and I would sit at my desk for a while and check emails and maybe go on social media, and then I'd move to the couch and watch TV, and next thing I know, it's like 11:30 at night, 12 o'clock at night, and I'd going back to bed, and I'd be mad at myself, and I'd be like, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" And I'd sit in there, and I'd lay there in bed, and I'd plan, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up, I'm going to eat breakfast, and I'm going to do a little bit of exercise or go for a walk around the block, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write. That's what I would tell myself. And the next day would come, and I would sleep in, and I wouldn't eat breakfast, and I wouldn't go for a walk around the block. Well, once or twice I did. And I would get on the computer, and I would check my emails, and I'd hang out on social media, and I'd maybe print a newsletter, and then I'd go back to the couch and watch TV or read a book or do something. I was always doing something. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what I did for those 2.5 years. But I do know I was talking about writing, and I was trying to write, and I wanted to write, because what actually helped me wasn't me noticing there was a problem. It was a couple of my friends noticing there's a problem. A couple of my writer friends that I would talk to, and they knew, like, I would talk to them about what I wanted to do. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to write this, I'm going to write that. And they were writing. And both of them were like, there's something really wrong. You need to get checked. You're having a problem. And I went into the doctor to get checked because my eye was really itchy, and I had a flight at the end of the week to go to a writer's conference. And I thought I might have pink eye, which you don't want to get on a plane with. And my doctor asked me about my weight, and I burst into tears. And then he asked me a couple other questions, and we talked, and I was crying and talking, and he's like, when you come back from your writer's conference, I need you to come see me again. 4 months later, my friends are saying, you need to go see this doctor. So I went back and I saw him, and I talked to him, and I talked to him some more. And he diagnosed me as clinically depressed and put me on some antidepressants. And it was about 10 days, not even 2 weeks. It was like the fog cleared. I wasn't better. It wasn't instantaneous, but I could feel a difference in my own energy, and I kind of woke up. I didn't try to go back to writing right away because I still could not focus. I would sit in front of the computer, but I couldn't focus. And I'm sitting there thinking, why can't I do this? Focus, damn it. But it wasn't happening. It took about 6 months, and I started writing again. And I loved it. That's when I started my Overwatch series. I loved it. I was back in it, and I was writing, and things were great. Point being, depression can muddle your thinking, and it can cause you to lose focus very easily. If you find yourself sitting in front of the computer, and it's not just your fear of failure or fear of success or fear of the blank page, but you can't seem to focus. Your brain is going all over, or it's just floating, and you feel like you're, Talk to somebody. When you lose interest in something that you normally love to do, you might be dealing with something other than burnout or boredom or just a bad habit. And it's important to recognize that and get help. That's the only way you're going to get through it. Giving yourself permission to write crap isn't going to get you through your block if your block is caused by depression or a lack of focus like that. So the key is identifying where the block is coming from and then trying to find ways to deal with it. I really hope that helped. And I hope my sharing my story helped you too, because I know I am not the only writer who deals with depression. And I know that the fact that more and more of us are coming out and talking about it openly has helped others realize that when they start to have problems focusing, and they realize that it's not just with their writing, but it's focusing on anything, it might be caused by depression. So I hope that if you have writer's block, one of these tips rang a little bell in your head and will help get you through. Good writing. Bye. Let's talk about what option material is. First of all, when you're under contract with a publisher, they usually include a clause that says that they have the right to see your next such and such work first. So you have to send it to them, and they have a chance to buy it from you or contract it before you can sell it to other publishers or publish it yourself, okay?